What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Tripp. Welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Investing Live podcast, where we interview the very best real estate investors, entrepreneurs, and business leaders all throughout the country. And today, I'm always excited, but today is going to be a great show. Mr. Austin Rutherford is with us. How's it going today, Austin?
What's up, my man? I'm looking forward to today.
Yeah, man. Let's just start, kind of dig right on in. Just offline a second ago, you were telling me how you just made a move, a personal move, no longer in Ohio, but you still operate a big real estate company in Ohio. We're going to get to all that. But you just recently made a move to the state of Florida. Tell everybody why you decided to do that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's kind of been a dream. There's 4 reasons, right? It's been a dream of mine since I was a kid. Anytime I'm around water, I always get high energy. So I've always wanted to be around the ocean. So we got ocean views now. 2, save money in taxes. I don't know if I'm like just kind of making that the reason because it even financially makes sense. 3, Ohio is extremely cold. And 4, I think there's higher level networking opportunities down here as well. So kind of like lifestyle by design is really the honest answer.
Yeah. And also talk about what you've done real estate wise to this point to afford you the opportunity to make a move like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I started investing into real estate when I was 20 years old. So I bought my first rental property on Ohio State University's campus when I was 20. Ended up flipping my first house at 22, made $107,000 net profit. Just turned 28 a few months ago. So I've been doing this game, 7.5, 8 years now. I own about 60 rental properties. I've flipped hundreds and hundreds of houses, new construction, condo conversions, wholesales, a little bit of everything in between. But for me, it's like, it's how do you build a business with the passive residual income? And that's really where the rental properties come into play at. Because that money comes in anytime, and then you can obviously go out and live how and where you want to live.
And it was all easy, right? 6, 7, 8 years. It's just no big deal.
No hiccups, nothing.
But, also let's talk about that for a second, because, you see, because you're on you're highly visible on social media, talking about what it is that you've done and trying to help other people. You've got a coaching business as well and trying to help folks. You see the success that you had, but success does not come as easy as some of these gurus out there make it seem like. Talk about some of the challenges that you've kind of encountered along the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the biggest, first and foremost, is the beginning. Like I went from the day I decided to become a investor, like a flipper. I actually paid a mentor 25 grand at the time. I had 18 months, no interest on the credit card, to the day I actually made money was a 16-month process. So I was broke for 16 months. I valeted cars 50 to 60 hours a week. I went to college, took 15 credit hours full time. I was a licensed realtor at the time, showing houses, and I was trying to become a real estate investor, looking at houses, making offers, handwriting handwritten envelopes to get people interested in selling their property. So, I was easily pulling 18-hour days. A lot of them were 20 hours. I'd go to bed at like 1, 2 in the morning. I had to be at work at 7 a.m. the next day. And I did that for 16 months straight. A lot of people would have gave up a long time in between there. It's one of the biggest things that, I've heard. It's like when you're trying to do something, unless you're like trying to hit the moon or something, like that's never been done. So if it's something that's been done, it's never a matter of if something happens. It's only a matter of when it's going to happen, because it's been done before. You can look at me, you can look at you, you can look at a lot of people out there that are doing real estate. So anybody out there that wants to learn how to do real estate, just copy and paste. It's been done before. So it's not a matter of if, it's only a matter of when. So that was one of the biggest hurdles, really early on. And as you get into the business over time, you're going to run into times where you're going to lose money, where you make bad investments, where you hire the wrong contractor, where you get into the wrong partnership. I've been through all those things. I've physically lost money on 3 deals, but I've lost potential money on, $1 million plus on, instead of making 100 grand on a deal, I make like 10 grand because everything went wrong. But that's just part of the game. Failure is part of the game. One of my really good friends, he lost 100 grand on his first house, and now he's doing multiple 6 figures per month consistently. So most people would have given up during that time. So it's part of the process. Failure is, as it is part of the process.
You said a couple of times that most people would have given up, 16 months in a lot of credit card debt, working, 16 to 18 hours a day. most people would have given up.
Agreed.
So that kind of begs the question, does it take a certain kind of person to be able to do this business, or can anyone truly do it?
I think it takes a certain person to do it, but anybody can become that person. This isn't for the light of heart. This isn't for the faint of heart. This isn't for the people that like want this shiny object and just want to get rich overnight. Real estate has created the most millionaires ever. It's a tremendous business to be in, but very few of those millionaires have done it overnight. So I think it can be a learned skill, but it definitely takes somebody that's like, willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Austin, if it is a learned skill, what do we need to learn for the folks that might be new who are listening to this or watching this? What are those skills that we need to learn? And some of it might be work ethic, some of it might just be a drive to never give up. But tangibly speaking, what is it? What are the skills? What do I need to do?
Absolutely. I think a lot of it's here, right? There's a lot of people that say 90% of success, quote unquote, is right between your two ears. You can go out there and you can learn the how-tos. YouTube's a great platform. Amazon sells all type of books. Like that nitty gritty how-to is relatively easy to learn. And then you can go a lot deeper, and then you hire mentors, whatever it is. But the basics to start any business is relatively simple to learn. So it's really about mindset. What really changed my life is when I wholeheartedly, genuinely started believing in myself. And believing in yourself comes from, doing the things to do that, like the manifestations, the affirmations, the working out so you look good. And when you look at yourself in the mirror, you feel good because you look good. Not comparing yourself to other people. There's a time in my life where I was on social media. So I say social media exists in two ways. It either uses you or you use it. Mm-hmm. At the beginning of my time on social media, I was allowing it to use me. So I would see it and I'd see all these people crushing it and making a ton of money and buying new cars and doing 10, 20 deals a month. And I felt bad about myself because I feel like I was failing. But social media is like a highlight reel. Everybody can look good at certain parts of their life, but that's not their normal life. So I think comparison syndrome is a really big one as well, to not compare yourself because everybody's got their own journey. You may be comparing yourself to somebody who's 20 years in the game and started with $1 million, and you're 18 years old, just barely trying to get started, and you came from nothing. So comparison syndrome is a big one. And all that leads to lack of confidence in yourself. Like all of it does. So really, like the first 3 hours of my day, I focus on myself. I read, I journal, I manifest, I say my affirmations. I do my meditations. I think it's just me time to allow me to love me so that I don't have any problems up here anymore. Now it's just like, how do we get it done? Let's do it.
And I'm sure that you've done that your whole life, right? Those are activities you've done forever and ever and ever.
Since I was one, baby. No, but
no, but seriously, there's going to be a lot of folks out there that's going to be like, that sounds a little hokey. It sounds a little bit like hocus pocus, kind of like, are these, at what point did you decide, because it is a decision, at what point did you decide that, hey, this is what I need? Maybe not everybody needs to do this, but this is what I need so that I can be my best self and I can be successful.
Absolutely. So it's kind of like two things for me. I think being an athlete growing up, being a competitor growing up translates into business because like I hated losing in basketball. I loved winning in basketball. Same thing with business. I hate losing in business. I love to win in business. So I think some of your ways that you grew up and some things that you did when you were younger can translate good into business nowadays. So one of those was competition for me. I just loved to win and I hated being outworked. I hated being beaten. And like, I just wouldn't let anybody outwork me, period. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing, it was a day, one of my buddies, right. For whatever reason, he was just like, bro, like, like you're crushing it. You're doing your thing. Like I had the will to win and I was making decent money, but like, I didn't genuinely wholeheartedly believe in myself. So, he just, I don't know why, but all the time he was just like, bro, you're doing your thing, keep crushing it, just was hyping me up. So it goes back to like the power of the people you surround yourself with. And, one day it just clicked. It was like, man, like, I really can do this. And, you just dive into it. But honestly, the one thing that really changed the game, there's a book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I read that.
It's up there somewhere.
I was 18 or 19. I just fell out of love with the game of basketball and I was lost and I didn't really know what to do with my life because basketball was my life at the time. and read the book, and it talks about like journaling and like saying, manifesting things into real life. And I took that to heart, and I journaled in college. You know, all my friends were going out to party every single night. And I would just sit at home by myself and just think to myself. I actually found my first ever journal like 3 months ago and read it. It was pretty cool. But like when you take time just to think to yourself and journal, like what are you going to write to yourself? It sounds stupid. I already know. I get that all the time. But taking time for yourself just to think, like that's what changes the game. Journaling is what led me to real estate. I was sitting on a rooftop and I was just looking around thinking, and there was a 6 unit apartment building, and I was like, man, like one guy owns that. If 6 people are paying him rent, like he's got to be making money. Let's do real estate. So when I don't know, when you allow time for yourself, you know, that's where the true ideas start to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's hiking. You know, I get in the woods and just no one else around, and I just kind of go. And it takes a while from a lot of times entrepreneur brains are just going to go and go and go and go and going. After a while, it kind of shuts off, and this is where all the creativity comes. You're talking about like, you know, meditating. It's kind of my form of meditation.
Yep.
And it's where all the ideas come from, man.
Your phone's probably not ringing off the hook. Like it's you and you when you're out there hiking.
You put that phone away.
Agreed. Definitely agree. Yeah. It's a big distraction.
Something you said earlier about comparison syndrome, or I don't know if that's how you phrased it, but I think social media, you know, I got in the game about 10 years ago, and there wasn't as much noise about, you know, how to do this. Right now, you can go to YouTube, you can go any podcast, you can go find out the how-to. And that's why I don't really like to talk about the how-to anymore. You know, you've been really successful doing, you know, the Burr method. You've been really successful buying rentals and flipping houses, raising private money, all those things that you've been super successful about. That, by the way, guys, we're going to link up all of Austin's social media in the description. Click on it. Make sure you're following him on Instagram. He's a really good follow. He's got some really good tips. But, you know, the truth of the matter is all the tactics are out there. And a lot of the times it really just comes back to what you're talking about earlier. It's all this important stuff that we know is important, but it's not sexy. It doesn't really sell. Yep. But I want to go back to that comparison syndrome, because when I first got started in real estate, there wasn't really a whole lot out there social media wise, you know, 2011, 2012, 2013. Now it's everywhere. And even when you got started, 7-8 years ago, there wasn't nowhere near as much as there is today. It was still out there, but nowhere near as much.
Great.
Today, for someone to get started, Austin, it's like you're just bombarded. And I just remember when I got started, it sounds like this is your story too. I put my head down and I had like blinders on, focused, and just not paying attention to anything. I wasn't even paying attention to people in my own market. I was just going. And I don't know if you could talk to that point, or if that was a little bit of you, but just talk about the importance of just staying in your lane and doing you and not worrying about all the noise, trying to block out all that noise.
No, 100%. I mean, today's society, everything's at the forefront all day, every day, 24/7, 365. And I put out content, and that's my goal, is to be in front of people all the time. So like it's there. And like I said, social media, there's two ways it exists in today's world. It uses you, or you use it. Those are the only two options. So as far as like starting, like I wasn't even have an Instagram I had an Instagram, but I posted like, I don't know, once a month or something like that. Didn't have a Twitter, none of that stuff. So one, you absolutely need to like set the phone down, you know, don't get caught up chasing everybody and everything that everybody's doing. One of the most powerful things that I did years ago was I unfollowed on social media majority of the people that I knew, because those people weren't trying to do something with their life. You know, they weren't adding value to my life. It was just, you know, toxicity. Is that a word? I think it is. Just toxicness, you know, negativity, just dumb stuff. That was just a distraction to me. So one of the most powerful things I think you can do, or anybody that's listening, is to unfollow the people that like don't add value to your life, and then follow people that you want to emulate. So like, don't follow 1,000 real estate investors, because it's going to be way too much coming at you at one time. But like maybe somebody, you know, likes what you have to say, or the way that you have to say it. Maybe somebody likes the way what I have to say, or the way I have to say it. So follow a few people that you can really learn from, that add value to your life, and go with that. Like, don't get so caught up in what everybody else is doing. Because I've been there. You know, I built businesses before. I chased what I thought was cool. I built a business around something that looked good on social media. And when you really nailed it out, like it wasn't what I wanted, nor was it making the money I thought it would make. So that can be a huge problem. But like you said, starting out, like the people always ask me what the secret is. What's the secret, Austin? Like, what's the shortcut? The shortcuts work. Like that's the only way to do it. You
Nobody
gotta
wants to hear that, Austin.
Nobody does, but like that is the secret. I got my book, right? It says, I don't know, chapter like 7 is like, what's the secret? And the secret's like work. It's like 1 page. You just gotta put the work in. So I couldn't agree with you more, man. Like most people just want that overnight success. They want it to just happen, but real estate's not something that can happen overnight. And even if it does one time, you're not going to get wealthy off of one deal.
Right.
You know, that next deal is going to take a while, and you got to be able to weather the storm with that.
I love what you said about unfollowing people. I just had this conversation. I'm sure you know Tim Bratz.
Yeah.
Just had Tim on the show just a couple of days ago, guys. I'll link that one up. We literally talked about that for 25 minutes, is the crab mentality. Yep. You know, the crabs he told the story about the crabs that get into the cage, and then once one starts to leave, the other crabs pull him down, and they'll even like pull his limbs apart and kill him because they don't want him to leave. And if you're not careful, you can get caught in that crab mentality. Maybe not necessarily your mentality, but the people around you pulling you down. You got to surround yourself with people who are going to build you up. So you said use social media or let it use you. How can we use social media? Say I'm brand new at real estate. And I know you just said, maybe follow just one person or 2 people that we really connect with, unfollow some folks. What are some other ways that we could use social media to our benefit? Some of this content, all this content is being put out there. How can we use that to our benefit if we're kind of new getting started?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is, like you said, there's 2, right? To me, there's 2 ways. The biggest one is what you said, follow a select amount of people that are adding value, speaking positive vibes, or teaching in the lane that you want to learn in, and just listen to them, right? I guess there's 3 technically. The second one is like sets time aside to when you get on social media. Don't just like like you'll waste a lot of time during it is. You'll waste a lot of time during the day, but like time block it. Like, hey, I'm on it from 8 to 8:30, 12 to 12:30, and 8 to 8:30, right? That's my time block for the day. So you can take in a lot of knowledge during that time, but you're not distracted the rest of the time. And then the other side of it is you use it, right? So you use social media for a benefit. Like I've made millions of dollars through social media. I've got tons of deals through social media. I've met amazing people through social media. So people are like, especially if you're brand new, they're like, well, why does anybody want to follow me? Like, what am I going to post about? Post about the journey. People love hearing the people always root for the underdog. So talk about how you're broke, how you're just getting started. And then when you pop your first deal for 30K, like talk about it. People will follow you. I promise. One of my biggest regrets after building a brand now is not having more content when I first started out. Because that's the story. That's like, you hear it all the time. Don't fall in love with like the end goal. Once you hit that end goal, like a goal is $1 million, right? You hit $1 million or $100,000 or whatever it is. And it doesn't feel that good. Like you hit it and you're like, all right, well, that was cool. But you remember the journey. Like the journey is the fun part. So I just document the journey. I think it'll pay dividends in the future. A lot, you'll gain a lot of traction. It's not going to happen overnight. I was posting on social media for years before I ever like became popping. So you just talk about the journey, show it. And I think it'll go a long way for you in the long run.
The thing about the destination versus the journey, the funny thing about a destination, this is Zig Ziglar, another one of those books up there. Zig Ziglar, old school, See You at the Top. Zig Ziglar said, the funny thing about a destination is once you get there, you can always see further.
Yep.
Say you get to the top of a mountain. Once you get to the top of the mountain, you can always see further. So you got to fall. If you don't fall in love with the journey, all of life is a journey.
Yep.
So if you don't fall in love with the journey, you're not falling in love with life, and you're going to miss it. You're going to miss 100%. It completely. I love 100%. That, man. Let's go back to that 25,000 that you put down on your first coach.
Yep.
Why did you do that? Legitimately, why did you feel like you needed to pay a coach 25,000, and did it help?
Yeah. So second question first, did it help? Yes. Is it required to become successful in real estate? No. It was the journey that I took, and it helped me get into the game, get my first few deals, and it worked for me. Right. But I feel like anything works if you work the system, right?
Agreed.
You can buy a $10 book and still get the same results if you put the work in. Right. So that's for the first question. But as far as like, why did I do it? So I bought a house, a duplex, like I said, when I was 20, and I was broke. So then I was like, all right, I need to make money. So I got licensed as a realtor because they made like an $8,000 commission on my house. I was like, cool, now I'm licensed. I was still valeting cars. So I was just ripping and running all day. And I was still going to college at the time. I was 21 years old. And like, I was just looking for like a break. Like I wanted something to like solve the problem. And I was driving into work. It was like 6:30 in the morning, and it's, radio ad popped on. It was like, you want to learn how to flip houses? Come to this free 2-day seminar, 2-hour seminar. I was like, bet, I'm there. Went to the 2-hour thing. And then there they told you a whole bunch of good information. And they're like, but, we have this 3-day seminar, it's $200 to be there. Boom. I was the first one to the back of the room, paid the $200 to go to the 3-day, went to the 3-day, great information. They're like, but if you really want the how to, you got to pay 25 grand. And I ended up paying the 25 grand. I genuinely, like, I feel like in everybody's life, people have opportunities at some point in their life, right? But most people just let opportunities walk right by them because they either one, don't believe in themselves. They don't think that it's built for them, right? Being a success, being a millionaire is not for you. It's for everybody. Anybody can become a millionaire. So people just let opportunities pass them by. And two, like, they don't bet on themselves because they're scared of failure. And the reason they're scared of failure is from people like telling them, like, oh, I told you so. Told you shouldn't have, invested into that program, or told you you shouldn't have bought that book, or told you shouldn't have dropped out of school, or told you should have got your college degree. Everybody's got something to say to you, but like, have confidence, right? Again, it has been done. Like, take that from this conversation. Whatever you're trying to do has been done by somebody. Find a way to copy and paste that. So for me, it was hiring a coach, hiring a mentor, that helped me, like I said, get into the game. So did it work for me? Yes. Do you need to pay 25 grand to start a real estate investing business? No, there's definitely other ways of doing it as well.
So let's talk about that. What are the other ways? I mean, if it's not a prerequisite, do you recommend it? And if you don't recommend it, or not necessarily, it could just be the person. When should someone get a mentor?
So I'm a believer in mentorship. First and foremost, I spend about $100,000 a year on education, on masterminds, on coaching, because I'm a believer in learning from somebody who's in a position that you want to be in. So starting out though, you might not have the money to do that. So YouTube is a great platform. Watching podcasts like this one is a great platform. Following the right people on social media is a great platform. And you can you can buy books, right? There are $5, $10, $20 books that have a lot of information as well. And there are coaching programs or mentors or courses that you can pick up for like $300, $500, $1,000, $2,000. So like, smaller type of investments. And like, if you're sitting there and you say like, I'm all in, like, I want to change my life. Like, I'm balls to the wall. Like, I'll do anything for it. And then, all right, cool. There's a coaching program that'll give you step-by-step how to do it. It's $500. And you look back at me like, oh, well, I don't have $500. You're not all in. It's period, point blank. Making $500 is not a difficult thing to do. Go buy water bottles and sell them on the corner for a week and you'll have $500. Go flip some sneakers. Go flip a couch. Like, making $500 is a very simple thing to do. So $500 or $200 or $1,000 or whatever the number is stopping you from getting to where you want to go. Like, you're lying to yourself and you're not all in, and you're not going to be successful anyways because you're not in the first place. So,
but Austin, that requires work though. Austin, that requires me having to like go do this. I got to go get the sneaker. I got to go find it on eBay. I got to go resell like that. That requires, you just overloaded my mind. I can't do that. I'm going to sit on the couch instead.
Yeah. So keep getting up at 6 a.m. to drive to work for 9 hours and drive home. Like, again, anybody can do this, but you got to do it. Like we already said, the shortcut is the work, but it pays. It pays well in the long term. I promise.
And then another key thing, going back to the beginning of what you talked about, is it took you 16 months. Yep. It took you 16 months. It took me 45 days. Took you 16 months, but your payday was way bigger than mine. I made $10,000 in 45 days. After learning what wholesaling was, I just went out and did it. And I just got on the phone, rejection after rejection after rejection. And finally I'm not going to let this down. I'm going to make this work. Just like you said earlier, other people have done it.
Yep.
There's proof that other people have done this thing. Surely I can do this thing. I can get on the phone. I can make something happen. And I did. And I got a check in my hand for $10,000 in 2012. And it completely changed my life because it changed my mindset. It changed my thinking that, hey, you know what? I can do this. Hey, you know what? I can have money. I can be rich or successful at least. And that was, for me, that's what I needed. And there's probably a lot of people out there, Austin, who, if they were entrepreneurial by nature, they would probably be doing something entrepreneurial, at least trying it. But the thing is, what I've seen, I'm curious to know what you think, because you coach and you have coaching students. What I've seen and who I was, most of the people that have come into my coaching program that I used to have, I don't really coach brand new people anymore, but and then myself included, I was not really entrepreneurial. Maybe I thought entrepreneurial things, but I was always an employee. And most of the people who came into my coaching program had that employee mindset. I'm curious to know what your kind of like a typical student for you is. Is it more of like an entrepreneurial mindset, or is it more of an employee mindset? And what do you do? How do you help that person succeed?
Oh, great question. At the end of the day, most people are brought up through society to be an employee. You know, that's what they teach you. Go to college, get a graduate, get a good degree, go get a job, work in corporate, work your way up. Like, we've all heard it a million times. So I think majority of the population are quote unquote employees. But the first question you asked me at the beginning of this interview is like, you know, is it something like you just have it, or can it be learned? That's where that question comes in. Absolutely, it can be learned. So an employee can change to an entrepreneur, but there's a process. There's mindset shifts that you have to go through, like reading books, like saying your affirmations, like manifesting, like journaling, like educating yourself, like watching YouTube videos, like listening to podcast videos. You know, I can't tell you how many YouTube videos and podcast videos I watch every single day, because like I'm hungry to learn. Like I'm learning on crypto, I'm learning on NFTs. Like if there's a new thing in real estate that comes out, I'm learning on that. Like I'm all in. You know, I don't watch TV that much. I don't go out and party that much. So like there is a change of lifestyle that somebody's going to have to go through to go from a quote unquote employee to entrepreneur, but it can absolutely be done. And it's really not that difficult. Like it's a couple of tweaks, like drop TV for a year. Don't watch TV for a year. Okay, cool. Don't party and travel with your friends for a year. Like that's it. I remember when I was getting started, I was young, right? 20, 21, 22, 23 years old when I was getting started. All my friends were in college, you know, partying, turning up, drinking, going on, you know, spring break to whatever that place in Florida is. I forget the name, but like that's where everybody went all the time. And I never went ever. Like I was locked in and I was focused. You know, now 5 years later, 6, 7, 8 years later, like I'm getting on the jets and the yachts. And I've, you know, in September, I was home for 10 days. I was gone the other 21 days. So you don't got to sacrifice your whole life. You sacrifice for 6, 12, 18, 24 months. That's it. And like you set yourself up to live the rest of your life how you want to live it. But most people never want to sacrifice a little bit of time to actually get ahead in life. So to answer your question, it absolutely can be changed, but there's a process to changing it.
And then just finally, you know, I want to give Austin a chance to talk about his book too, because I think that's awesome. A lot of the content, a lot of stuff that you're doing. But you know, 16 months, that's a long time when you're in, you know, kind of like, I don't want to say hell, but when you're in kind of like the dirt, you know, and you're really, yeah. And that's a long time. And especially if you don't have anyone else, I don't know what your support system was like, but you know, that's a long time to kind of go through. That kind of stuff is so easy. And we're not going to sit here and say that, hey, anybody can, that's simple for anybody to do. It's a very difficult thing for people to do. And that's why most quit. Most quit.
Yep.
Any words of encouragement, anything that you would say to folks that are maybe they're in it right now, or they're really getting motivated. By the way, motivation is fleeting. Motivation only lasts for a certain amount of time. You know, I don't know if you're a David Goggins fan, but David Goggins tells the story about, you know, he's an ultra runner, and he's like, you know, motivation, you could get pumped up and you get ready to go on that run. It's 4:00 in the morning and you're, you know, it's 30 degrees in Chicago and you're motivated and you're pumped up. As soon as you open the door and that wind hits you in the face, that motivation's gone. Gone. It's over. Now it's all about you. It's all about what you've kind of programmed yourself to be. So motivation's fleeting, but are there any words, Austin, for the folks that might be listening to this, they're like, I'm ready to go, or I'm in it right now, and and I don't see anything in sight to where I don't see success in sight. But I know you're telling me to keep going. And I just have to have faith and believe.
No, absolutely. Don't get it twisted. Like there's days I cry. I was living with my parents. Like I cried in the basement of my parents' house. There was days I was going so hard. I fell asleep at the wheel driving home, woke up on the sidewalk going 60 miles an hour with a light pole in front of me. And I had to swerve back onto the road. There was a lot of long days, a lot of long nights, a lot of struggle. Like everybody's got to go through that. So, if you're going through that, like I've been there, I'm sure Brian's been there, we've all been there before. And I want to go back to what I said earlier. Like, it's not a matter of if it works. It's only a matter of when it works, and just lock into that. Like, it will work. I promise you. If you continue to take the right actions to get to where you want to go, it will work. And I promise you, like when Brian said he had that $10,000 check, changed his life. I had a $184,000 check, changed my life. It only takes one thing for your life to be changed forever. One connection, one deal, one piece of social media content, one sentence, and your life is changed forever. So don't give up, because I promise you it works, and it's coming, and it'll feel a whole lot better on the other side.
The only way to lose is if you quit. It's the only way.
For sure. 100%.
Austin, tell everybody how they can get a book. You got a book?
Yeah. So I actually give it away for free. It's called From Ballet to Millionaire. If you go to my website, theaustinrutherford.com, we'll give it to you for free. And the subtitle is the 10 secrets to become a millionaire that they, quote unquote, don't tell you. Now, who's they, right? They might be your parents, your friends, your aunts, your cousins, your teachers, your principals, like anybody out there that's the one in your ear telling you, hey, might be too good to be true. Hey, success isn't for everybody. Hey, you should really go get a college degree if you don't want to get a college degree. If you want to get a college degree, go get one. But they're the people that are telling you things to keep you small and to keep you down. And I want to preface that, right? Let's say your parents are like, no, like, don't be an entrepreneur, go to college and go to get a degree. They're saying that because they think that's the best thing for you. They're not saying that because they want to see you fail. They just don't know any better. I was in the same boat. Parents were like, yo, go to college, get a degree, blah, blah, blah. When I started becoming an entrepreneur, they were still supportive of it. Then I started making money in it. Then they really believed in it. And they're like all on board right now. So they're not saying that because they want you to fail, right? They're saying it because they genuinely think that's the best thing for you. But they are the people that don't tell you the things that actually become rich, the things that successful people know. So it's 10 of those things, mindset shifts that you're going to have to go through to get to where you want to be, like, not going with negativity, controlling the uncontrollables, getting uncomfortable, surrounding yourself with the right people, doing your journaling and your manifestations, so 10 different things, 10 chapters of the things you'll have to change in your own mind to get to where you want to go. So like I said, success, quote unquote, is like 90% everything that goes through your head. So that's what the book covers.
TheAustinRutherford.com. I'm going to put it in the details and in the show notes and everything. So make sure you guys click on that. I'm also going to put Austin's Instagram handle in the show notes and in the description down below. Guys, click on that. Follow Austin. He's a great follow on Instagram. Lots of great tips, lots of great advice. So if anything he said today resonated with you, make sure you're giving this guy a follow. Man, I appreciate you coming on the show, my friend.
Absolutely, man. I always look forward to this, bro. Hopefully it was valuable, man.
Absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to see you next time. We appreciate you tuning in. And guys, right now, hitting it hard on YouTube, daily YouTube videos. So get your fill. Subscribe to the REI Live YouTube channel right now. Daily content, daily videos from awesome guys just like Austin. So appreciate you guys. We're going to see you on the next one.